JamesimusPrime2798 here. I thought I would just drop in and say, oh, hang on, that's better. All right. Today I'm going to be answering some more questions that you guys gave to me. So to get started, let's start off with some questions, shall we? All right. Question number 1. What are my favourite train movies? Well, there's Thomas and the Magic Railroad, Unstoppable, The Little Engine That Could, and Runaway Train. They're my favourite train movies, and they're all different in their own ways. Basically, Thomas and the Magic Railroad and The Little Engine That Could is for kids and stuff, but it's okay. But Unstoppable is the most recent train movie I've seen, about a train being a runaway train. And speaking of which, the movie Runaway Train came out in the year 1985. Yeah, about 38 years ago. Something like that, yeah. Alright. Question number 2. Would I ever do V2 parodies of Cars and Toy Story? Well, I'm not 100% sure actually, because I'm happy with the trilogies I've done so far. But however, I'm still determined to do the Toy Story shorts after Toy Story 3. And of course, I will be doing Characters on the Road, Cars on the Road next year. But I don't think I'll do a V2 of Cars and Toy Story. I may or may not, but who knows. Okie dokie. Question number 3. What is my cast to the other Land Before Time movies, the 5th movie onwards? Well, to be totally honest, as you guys know, my main cast is still Thomas the Tank Engine, Littlefoot with Lightning McQueen as an extra, Peaches as Sarah, Dipper and Mabel as Ducky and Spike, Bumblebee as Petrie with Charlie as an extra, and Spencer, Martha, Bethany and Fridge as themselves, Littlefoot, Sarah, Spike, Ducky and Petrie's friends. Yeah, and the list goes on. But however, the cast that I will be bringing in is Starscream as Gnatosaurus. Well, I forgot what the dinosaur was called. Lumpy and Dumbo as Diana and Dana. Murdoch as Doc. Galvatron as Red Claw. Homer and Marge Simpson as the Rainbow Faces. Longarm Prime as Petatron. Oh, I can't pronounce his name. Scar and Shere Khan as Rinkus and Shira. Brian Griffin as Mr. Thicknose. Wendy as Tippy. SpongeBob SquarePants as Mo. Gordon the Big Engine as Bron. Percy the Small Engine as Shorty with James the Red Engine and Herbie the Love Bug as extras. Ellie as Tria with Crash and Eddie as extras. And Emma Ross as Ruby. I was originally going to use Honey Lemon, but I figured Emma would do better. So that's what I've got so far from my Land Before Time parodies onwards after the 5th movie. And I will be doing the 5th movie next year. That's on the list. I guarantee I'll do it. Okay. Question number 4. Who is my favourite Super Mario character? It's Yoshi. Yoshi! I like Yoshi. He's a green dinosaur. And he is best friends with Mario, Luigi, and Princess Toadstool. In the Mario games, he only says his name. Yoshi! Yoshi! And those sounds. Like how in Pokemon, the Pokemon characters only say their names, like Pikachu says, Pikachu, Pika Pika. And yeah, Yoshi does talk like a normal character in the Super Mario World TV show. Yeah, and I've used Yoshi a few times in my parodies. I've used him as one of the 3 blind mice in my Shrek parodies, Tickles in my Land Before Time 4 parody, and Oliver the Great Western Engine in my Thomas and Friends parody I'm currently doing on YouTube. And yeah, I like how I'm using Yoshi as Oliver because it's how they're both green and stuff, and they were basically found by Luigi and Douglas. Well, technically, Luigi found Yoshi in a flashback scene in episode Mama Luigi, and Douglas found Oliver in Escape. So yeah, and that similarity I put together made a success. And I reckon having Luigi as Douglas and Yoshi as Oliver makes perfect sense, and it works well. Yeah, and I like Yoshi, and I like Mario and Luigi as well. They're both my 3rd and 2nd favourite characters. Well, they're both plumbers, and they used to live in Brooklyn in New York City, and they're good friends with Princess Toadstool, Yoshi and Toad, and they work together as a team. They fight against the evil King Koopa. Yeah, and I've used Mario and Luigi a few times in my parodies. I've used them as Cecil and Jimbo in my V1 of the Wiggles movie parody. The two other Three Blind Mice. The French policeman and the waiter in my Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo parody. Donald and Douglas in my Thomas and Friends parody. Smokey and Steamer in my Polar Express parody. And I've used Luigi as Captain Archibald Witwicky in my Transformers parody. So yeah, they're my favourite characters from Mario. Okay, question number 5. When is Pokemon the first movie, JamesimusPrime2798, coming? It's coming in 2025 after I do my Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas parody. I guarantee I'll do the Pokemon parodies. And I'm determined to do the 6 parodies. But however, I will do the movies that Dawn and Serena appear in. I guarantee I'll do them. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll do the Pokemon first movie next year. We'll see. Okay. Question number 6. Who is my favourite DuckTales character? Well, it's Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the triplets. They are young and they're 10 years old. They wear green, blue, and red. Well, basically, Huey wears red, Dewey wears blue, and Louie wears green, just like how Alvin, Simon, and Theodore wear those colours. Yeah. And they were left with their Uncle Scrooge McDuck while their Uncle Donald went to join the Navy. And they're great kids, and they also take part in the Junior Woodchucks. And they're best friends with Webby and Doofus and Launchpad. They always spend time with their Uncle Scrooge, even though he's so cheap. The boys are also voiced by the late Russie Taylor, who voiced Martin in The Simpsons. Yeah, I've used Huey, Dewey, and Louie about 3 times in my parodies. I've used them as Mrs. Flint's students in my Monsters, Inc. parody, the 3 Little Pigs in my Shrek parodies, and themselves Smokey's nephews in my Cars 3 parody. Yeah, I like those 3. I like Scrooge McDuck as well. He's my second favourite character. He is the richest duck in Duckburg. He is Huey, Dewey, and Louie and Donald's uncle, and Launchpad, Mrs. Beakley, and Gyro's friend, and Webby's affectionate uncle. Basically, he's not really her uncle, but it's more like affectionate, like how when people love you for who you are, and you get to call them uncle or aunt just for the sake of it. Yeah. Well, Scrooge is very cheap, but he still loves Huey, Dewey, and Louie all the same because they're family. He is short-tempered sometimes, but he hates Glumgold, his rival. He is the second richest duck in Duckburg. Well, basically, Scrooge wants to be more rich than he is because he and Glumgold have a huge rivalry, just like how Gordon and Spencer have in Thomas and Friends. Yeah. But however, Scrooge always wins against Glumgold. Yeah. And I've only used Scrooge once in my parodies. I've used him as Smokey in my Cars 3 parody. That's it. Okie dokie. Question number 7. Who is my favourite villain in Thomas and Friends? It's Diesel. Yeah, I like Diesel. He's also known as Devious Diesel. Sorry, I was impersonating his growl. He is the main antagonist of Thomas and Friends from Season 2 onwards. He's always up to his devious tricks. He always causes trouble. When he was first introduced, he told Duck that the Fat Controller has mistaken because the Diesels didn't need to learn. They know everything. They are revolutionary. But Duck, on the other hand, suggested him to fetch his trucks while he collects Gordon's coaches. But Diesel had trouble with the trucks. And Duck, and he was cross that Duck didn't tell him that he had to take the trucks from that siding, and asked him why didn't he tell him, and Duck said, "You never asked me." Yeah, but however, Diesel does hate Duck. In the second episode he was in, Diesel wanted Duck to be sent away, so he made a plan. He told lies to the trucks about Gordon, James, and Henry. Basically, Gordon being a galloping sausage, James being rusty red scrap iron, and Henry being old square wheels. And this caused the 3 big engines to accuse Duck and hate him, and like Diesel even more. And this caused a lot of confusion, and Duck didn't do any of this sort of nonsense, but we know it was Diesel. But however, in the episode Close Shave, Diesel was sent away because The Fat Controller never believed Diesel, so he sent him packing. But in the Railway series, the Fat Controller said, I never believed Diesel, so I sent him packing because he did something wrong to Henry. Because, to be honest, he played a trick on Henry. Yeah. But Diesel did come back eventually in some episodes of Season 2, like Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree, and a few episodes of Season 3, but he only had a slight cameo in Season 4. And I'm not 100% sure if he's in Season 5 or not. I'll have to go back and watch it. Diesel's always rude and always showing off. Yeah. But he does appear more often in Season 8 onwards because he never got sent away. But he still does his devious tricks. Yeah. I've used Diesel about a few times in my parodies. I've used him as one of the pirates in my Peter Pan parody, Stinky Pete in my Toy Story 2 parody, Barricade in my Transformers parodies, Mr. Burns in my Simpsons movie parody, and Rumpelstiltskin in my Shrek Forever After parody. Yeah. I like Diesel. And I do like Diesel 10 as well. He's obviously my second favourite villain. He is the main antagonist in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. He has a giant claw on top of him called Pinchy. It is his weapon he uses to scare engines and sometimes pick up scrap. In the movie, his plan was to destroy a lost engine called Lady who escaped from him once before. But she used up all her coal and she went too fast and then crashed. And Diesel 10 was determined to destroy her, even though she still exists. But however, the Sodor engines had kept her in secret from him. But Diesel 10 got the help of two idiot Diesels named Splatter and Dodge. Yeah. So basically, Diesel 10 did find Lady eventually in the end of the movie where she was near the water well, and Thomas came out of the buffers and meet up with her, and then somehow Diesel was determined to destroy her, but Thomas, on the other hand, wouldn't let him. He protected her against him. So basically, when they both ran over the viaduct, Thomas caused the middle part to collapse, and then Diesel 10 derailed and landed into a barge. And he was never seen again after that until Calling All Engines, which came out in the model series in 2005. But he did appear more often in the CGI era of Thomas and Friends, but only in a few episodes and a movie called Day of the Diesels. Yeah. And Diesel 10 is also voiced by Neil Crone, the same voice actor who voiced Gordon in the movie as well. So yeah, I've used Diesel 10 a few times in my parodies as well. I've used him as one of the pirates in my Peter Pan parody, Plankton in my SpongeBob SquarePants movie parody, Megatron in my Transformers parodies, Lotso in my Toy Story 3 parody, Rumpelstiltskin in my Shrek Forever After parody, and I did accidentally use him as one of the witches in my Shrek Forever After parody, but who cares. Captain Gantu in my Lilo and Stitch parody, and yet to come he will be playing as Sideshow Bob in my Simpsons TV show parody soon, because they're both rivals to Thomas and Bart. Alright, question number 8. Who is my favourite Starsky and Hutch characters? Isn't it obvious? Starsky and Hutch. They're both detectives / cops. They work in a city in California called Bay City, and they work for the Bay City Police Department. They drive around in Starsky's 1975 Ford Grand Torino. Hutch nicknames it the striped tomato because it's red as a tomato and it's got a stripe on it. But the two cops, they don't wear police uniform. They just wear their street clothes, basically just normal casual clothing. But they do carry their police badges and guns with them too. And they're friends with a cool jazz guy named Huggy Bear. He does help Starsky and Hutch out with a lot of things sometimes, even though he's not a cop. And he did the same in the movie as well. And Starsky and Hutch also work for their police captain, Captain Dobie. He and Huggy Bear are basically just supporting characters while Starsky and Hutch are the protagonists. And the villains that appear in every single episode and the movie are the antagonists. So yeah, I like Starsky and Hutch. And those two remind me strongly of Bo and Luke Duke because, Starsky has dark hair just like Luke and Hutch has blonde hair like Bo, and also their colour of their clothing and stuff and the personalities, it's all mixed up. And the general And Starsky's Torino reminds me of the General Lee because they're both muscle cars. They have a similar colour, basically. The Torino is red and the General Lee's orange. And they both have super speed. Yeah. And I like Starsky and Hutch, and it is similar to the Dukes of Hazzard because two guys driving a car, and the setting is all based in the 1970s. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I've only used Starsky and Hutch a couple of times in my parodies. I've used them as Bertie and Harold in my Thomas and the Magic Railroad parody. I did the V2 where I had Herbie as Thomas, and also I had Hutch as Little John Sir Reginald Duke of Chutney's disguise in my Robin Hood parody, and I had Starsky as himself to be Luke's disguise in my Robin Hood parody. Yeah. And I've used Starsky's Torino once in my parodies as Bumblebee's Chevrolet Camaro mode that he had in the start of the first Transformers movie. Okay, question number 9. Sorry. What are my thoughts on the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, basically the animated series? Well, to be totally honest, they're a lot different to the live-action Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies I saw when I was a kid. The CGI animation goes for like 40 to 50 minutes, and it's all CGI. They took the animation from the book and turned it into CGI, just like how they did with the new Rugrats. Yeah, but I thought the CGI was okay. It's just the voice actors are a lot different. But however, I still like the trilogy from 2010 to 2012, but I don't like the fourth movie, The Long Haul, that came out in 2017. It's all got new actors, and they didn't get their looks right from the previous 3 movies, and the storyline wasn't even that great, to be totally honest, and they messed up a few things. But I can agree on some things, but not everything. But I still think the first 3 movies were better. And also, to be totally honest, Zachary Gordon, Robert Capon, Peyton List, and Garrison Russell, who played Greg, Raleigh, Holly, and Fregley, were born in the same year as me, 1998. Yeah. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the animated Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies. Yeah. Okay, number 10. How do I make my spoofs? Well, to be totally honest, how I make my spoofs / parodies on YouTube as well, I use a special app on my laptop called iMovie. It's an easy making filmmaking program that every Apple computer's got. It's a lot different compared to Windows Movie Maker, but I did use Windows Movie Maker a couple of times for some cast videos I did previously, and also a video review on my Transformers The Last Night Deluxe Class Berserker. Yeah, because basically Windows Movie Maker doesn't have the tools that iMovie has. Well, basically, when you want to put audio on a clip, you can't detach the audio. You got to export the audio from another clip and save it, and then save it as an audio. But however, I don't really do that. I just use iMovie where you can detach it. And to be totally honest, I'm not really good at Windows Movie Maker, but however, my friend John Clancy, who does YouTube just like me, he uses Windows Movie Maker, and he's a real pro at it. Yeah. But however, I've been using iMovie for almost 10 years now. Basically, I had it on my iPad when I was a kid, and I sucked at it at first, but I had a practice, and I got the hang of it on the iPad. And then when I got a MacBook Pro for Christmas, a MacBook Air for Christmas in 2013, I began to use the iMovie app on the laptop. And I sucked at that a bit, but I had to practice, and as time went on, my videos got better. And it works like a charm. So yeah, I use iMovie to edit my videos, and it's a nice program. Okay, question number 11. When am I going to make Herbie Casper? In 2025 for its 30th anniversary, and it's also going to be my Halloween parody in 2025. And I guarantee it'll be a great movie to do because I like the live-action Casper movie. I know it's not that great, but to be totally honest, I can agree that it's okay, but those of you who don't like that movie, I respect that. And basically, my cast is going to be Herbie the Love Bug as Casper, Bart Simpson as Casper as a human, Emma Ross as Kat or Caitlin, and Morgan Ross as Kat's father, and the list goes on. Yeah. That's what I've got. All right. Question number 12. This is going to be an interesting question to answer. What is the point of in casting characters as themselves in my parodies, like characters as friends or relatives, boyfriends, girlfriends, or best friends? Well, to be totally honest, the reason I do that is because I think it might be interesting to do, because in my parodies, I like to have characters as themselves just to make it interesting. And just so I can have extra characters in there. So basically, to be totally honest, I've been doing it ever since I did my second parody in 2017. That would be my Toy Story parody, where I had the Recess Gang as themselves, and then, yeah. I thought characters as themselves would be a good idea to use. Basically, you could have just one character and you can have a couple of extras to be with the one character. Like how I had Thomas as Littlefoot in my Land Before Time parody, and I decided to bring Lightning McQueen in as an extra. And it went like that onwards, and then went okay. But however, I know those characters didn't exist in the movies, like how they didn't have a relative or a friend or a boyfriend, girlfriend, or something like that. But however, I thought it would be a good idea to have it in the parody just to make it more interesting. But however, me and my fellow YouTuber John Clancy, we both use characters as themselves in our parodies, and we both ask each other for lines and stuff for each character, and it works as a charm. So yeah, that's why I have characters as themselves in my parodies, because it is what it is. I thought it'd be a good idea too. Alright, question number 13. Will I ever do a spoof on Frozen? Well, maybe I will one day, but I'm still having trouble trying to figure out who to use as Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and Hans and all that. If anyone has any ideas who should I use as them, go ahead and leave your comments down in the comment section and give me some ideas, and I'll be happy to do it. Alright. Question number 14. What is my favourite CGI Thomas and Friends movie? It's Thomas and Friends Hero of the Rails. It's a very interesting movie. That movie came out in 2009, the year I was 11 years old. Then the same year Transformers Revenge of the Fallen was released. Yeah, I like that movie, and it shows that Thomas meets Hero, aka the Master of the Rails. The story goes Spencer is visiting Sodor to help the Duke and Duchess of Boxford build their summer house. Thomas was trying to avoid Spencer, but however, Thomas got lost into the woods, and he encounters an old engine named Hero. Hero used to be the Master of the Rails, and he was originally from Japan. Thomas wanted to help Hero, so he and his friends fix him in secret from the Fat Controller, because Hero was worried he might be sold off for scrap. But however, Hero was rebuilt and turned into a really useful engine after Thomas told the Fat Controller about Hero. And soon Hero became polished up and really useful again. And he is better than Spencer as well. And I'm going to do that parody next year in 2024 for its 15th anniversary. And guys, I have done a cast video on that movie. My cast is basically, I got Fred and Wilma Flintstone as the Duke and Duchess of Boxford, Jimmy Neutron as Victor, Carl Weezer as Kevin, and Optimus Prime as Hero. And basically my cast of Thomas and Friends is still the same in that movie. Basically I got Lightning McQueen as Thomas, John Bennett as Edward, Bo and Luke Duke as Henry and Gordon, Jack Brewer as James, Butterscotch as Percy, SpongeBob SquarePants as Toby, Katie and Annette as Emily, the General Lee as himself as an extra Henry and Gordon, Woody as the Fat Controller, Sherry and Terry as Annie and Clarabelle, Sandy Cheeks as Henrietta, and Billy Prickett as Spencer. Yeah, that cast is still basically the same. Okay, question number 15. It's the third time I'm going to be answering this question. I know I've answered this twice, but I'm going to answer it one more time. Who is my favourite character in Thomas and Friends? It's Henry the Green Engine. I like Henry. And Henry has always been my favourite character growing up. He is based on an LMS Stania Black 5. Well, to begin with, before he went to crew, he was a cross between an LNER A1 and a Great Northern Railway C1 Atlantic. And Henry had some steaming problems, and then he was given Welsh coal, and then he had a crash pulling the Flying Kipper, and then got rebuilt into an LMS Stania Black 5, which is a very common locomotive in the UK. So yeah, Henry's painted green, he has red stripes, and he has a number 3 on his tender. He is very kind-hearted, and he loves nature, and he loves Emily as well, even though they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah, I don't need to go over what Henry's like and stuff like that, because I've done it already. And I've used Henry a lot in my parodies. I've used him as Baloo in my Jungle Book parodies, Rex in my Toy Story parodies, Littlefoot's grandfather in my Land Before Time parodies, Frosty the Snowman, Fillmore in my Cars parody, Henry the Octopus in my Wiggles movie parodies, himself, Wilbur's friend, in my Charlotte's Web parody, Shrek, Dasher in my Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer parody, Xander McCormick in my Bunked parody, Optimus Prime in my Transformers parody, Thrier Tuck in my Robin Hood parody, Jumba in my Lilo and Stitch parody, Ned Flanders in my Simpsons movie parody, Sully in my Monsters Inc. parody, and yet to come, Henry will also be playing as himself in my Gordon Shrek parody, himself Dracula's cousin in my Hotel Transylvania parody, adult Tommy Santarelli in my Sandlot 3 parody, himself Dorothy's boyfriend in my Wiggles V3 parody, Herbie the Love Bug in my V2 of Herbie, and Barney the Dinosaur in my Barney's Great Adventure parody. Yeah, I like Henry, and I like Gordon as well. Gordon's my second favourite character. He is number 4 on the railway. He's painted blue, he has red stripes, he has number 4 on his tender, and he is the same class of engine as his brother the Flying Scotsman, an LNER A3. He is the fastest engine on Sodor. Well, when he was created in the Railway series, the Reverend W. Audrey had him as the main protagonist throughout the Railway series. Basically how Gordon was introduced, and in the final book that his career concluded of being an express engine. Yeah. I don't need to go over what Gordon's like and stuff like that, because I've done it already. So yeah, guys, I've used Gordon a lot in my parodies as well. I've used him as Colonel Hardy in my V1 Jungle Book parody, and then I used him as Bagheera in my V2 of the Jungle Book, Mac in my Cars parodies, Anthony's dad in my Wiggles movie parodies, Pete, my Little Engine That Could parody, the Ram in my Charlotte's Web parody, Danny in my 101 Dalmatians parody, Blitzen in my Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer parody, himself, Shrek's friend in my Shrek parodies, himself, Emma, Xander, Lou, Ravi, Zuri, Jorge, Griff, and Tiffany and Luke's friend in my Bunked parody, Cogsworth in my Beauty and the Beast parody, himself, one of Bonnie's toys in my Toy Story 3 parody, himself, one of Robin Hood's friends in my Robin Hood parody, himself, Lilo, Stitch, Nani, David, Jumbo, and Pleakley's friends in my Leo and Stitch parody, the Polar Express in my Polar Express parody, Homer Simpson in my Simpsons movie parody, and Scrooge McDuck in my DuckTales parody. And yet to come, he will be playing as Hound in my Transformers parodies, Shrek in my V2 of Shrek, Count Dracula in my Hotel Transylvania parody, himself Barney's friend in my Barney's Great Adventure parody, Crush in my Finding Boo Boo, Finding Nemo parody, Bertie for Below in my Jetsons movie parody, and Bron in my Land Before Time parodies, and Ray Ray in my Little Mermaid parodies. So yeah, guys, that's all the questions I have to answer for you. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask me. I'll be happy to answer them. I want you guys to subscribe to my channel, watch my YouTube parodies, watch all the vlogs I have done from 2019 onwards to this year. And also, look forward to my upcoming YouTube parody, Transformers Dark of the Moon, Transformers Dark of the Moon. So, you guys, thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been JamesimusPrime2798. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye, and I am gone.